Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected and we are discussing climate change. Climate changing, climate is always changing. Why does the climate always change? Tell me. Tell me, science people. Anyways, greetings. Oh, we have 12, starting out the show with 12 people watching on Rockfin. Hello, people of Rockfin. Raza, Laura Neufeld, Kevin Shanholzer, Irk1, Urban Hermit. Oh, hello. Hello. And we have lots of people on the chats on the YouTube side. Hello, greetings, welcome. Anyways, the thing I wanted to cover yesterday that was intriguing, if I could use that word. Was this article from New York Times, but I was able to read it yesterday in the New York Times, but I couldn't read it today in the New York Times. Today they were telling me that I had to pay for it. I really don't like to pay for things if I can get them for free. Especially if it's just news, you know? News. I feel like news should be free. Information. Excuse me, but somebody actually pointed out the irony of mainstream media channels putting up paywalls for their information that nobody wants. Right? Mainstream media channels becoming less and less popular, less and less the go-to source for information. We don't give out that kind of information. Big gold star to anybody who can tell me what that line is from. What movie is that line from? I'm sorry, sir. We don't give out that information. Yeah, so anyways, you know, all these major news sources putting up the paywalls, and a lot of people are already like, yeah. Probably further decreasing their ability to generate money or profits or whatever, but I don't know. I guess if you keep Trump in the headlines, I don't know, you can keep the high times rolling. Anyways, sorry, rambling to begin the show. So anyways, big headline. This is just a reprint of this article in the from linuxweb.com. Global action is very far from what's needed to avert climate chaos. Say it ain't so. This is from February 26th. The world scientific consensus is obvious. Emissions of planet-warming gases should be minimized by practically half by 2030. I thought it was, were we talking about net zero? There's a lot of conflicting ideas about what we got to do and how quickly we can do it. Some people are like net zero 2025. Some people are like net zero 2035. Some people are like net zero 2050. A lot of countries are like net zero 2050. Yeah, I think that'll do the trick. And in China, saw everybody else going net zero 2050, and they're like, guys, check this out, net zero 2060. And everybody's like, yeah, China. The world political response has been underwhelming to date. Say it ain't so. New local weather targets submitted by nations to the United Nations would cut back emissions by lower than 1%. What are weather targets? According to the latest tally made public Friday by the World Physique. Okay, this is a weird, I can tell that maybe this is a strange translation of the article. Anyways, the world body, I'm guessing is what they meant to say. And I think what they meant by local weather targets was local climate targets. So I'm going to try to retranslate the translation. The head of the United Nations local weather company, Patricia Espinoza, stated the figures compiled by her workplace confirmed that current levels of climate ambition are very far from putting us on a pathway that will meet our Paris Agreement goals. The figures provide an actuality examine. The figures provide, I don't even know what they're trying to say there, an examination on the various guarantees coming from world capitals and firm boardrooms that leaders are taking local climate change significantly. Maybe climate change is local weather change. Anyways, local weather is climate. The United Nations Secretary Antonio Guterres, known as said the report was a red alert. This is actually a pretty awesome translation because the wording is really weird. The tally was all of extra damming as a result of fewer than half of all nations submitted contemporary targets to the United Nations. The Paris Local Weather Accord, or the Climate Accord, designed to restrict a rise in world temperatures, had urged them to achieve this by the tip of 2020. Whatever the tip of 2020 is. By the end of 2020, I think that's what they meant. Still lacking from the ledger is the United States, which has produced extra greenhouse fuel emissions more than any other nation in historical past. It rejoined the Paris Agreement in the final week, or last week, after the previous president, Donald Trump, pulled out. It has yet to submit its 2030 targets and is below stress from local weather advocates to cut back emissions. Under stress from climate advocates to cut back emissions by a minimum of 50% in contrast with the 2005 levels. Okay. Likewise, China, which presently produces the largest share of emissions, has yet to submit new 2030 targets to the United Nations. Its president, Xi Jinping, said in December that China would produce more electric energy from renewable sources, 25%, develop extra forests, 6 billion cubic meters, and cut back its carbon depth or carbon emissions by 65%. Which signifies that as China's economy grows, its carbon emissions would grow at a slower pace than before. Mr. Xi has stated China will be carbon neutral by 2060. Carbon neutral, or neutral on carbon. That means it would take away, be capturing carbon emissions equal to the quantity that it produces. Carbon neutral. The Biden administration stated that it aspires to net zero emissions by 2050. However, has no path to get there. Some of the most largest emitter nations, together with Australia, Brazil, and Russia, submitted new plans for 2030 without increasing their ambitions. Mexico lowered its climate targets, which the Natural Resource Defense Council described as a signal that Mexico is effectively retreating from its previous leadership on climate and clean energy. That's very strange. AMLO, the populist progressive president, has kind of become soft on climate change and soft on fossil fuels. So interesting direction from Mexico. In distinction, 36 nations, Britain, Chile, Kenya, Nepal, and 27 nations of the European Union raised their their climate goals or their emissions targets, whatever they're trying to say here. Anyways, this report confirms a shocking lack of urgency and genuine action. Aubrey Webson, diplomat from Antigua and Barbuda, and the chairman of the alliance, stated in a press release, "We are flirting dangerously with the 1.5 Celsius warming limit that the world agreed we need to stay within and stay well below 2C. So yeah, the upshot of this whole thing is all the really nice words, all the really cool, awesome, caring, understanding words, all the yep, totally, yeah. Irk1, did AI translate this? I think that was the point. I think that's what it was. But anyways, on Rockfin, we have Raza claiming first, Laura Neufeld second. Hearkening the old days. I don't know if anybody remembers what the days of first climate biatches. Everybody had a race to get in the comment section first, and it was pretty funny. Although some people were very concerned about that behavior being childish. Kevin Shanholzer, yes, I forgot to do that. Disable JavaScript in your browser to prevent the paywall. I forgot to do that. Well, I already read that. I don't know if I can do it real quick. I don't know if I want to stop. But anyways, interesting translation nonetheless. I found it kind of enjoyable on some levels. Yes, Irk1, your feeling was correct. Because if we keep below 1.5, then when you were well below 2C, well below. Everybody stay well below 2C. Yes, you guys guessed it. Right. The lady at the trailer park. Yeah. No Country for Old Men. Yes. I'm sorry, sir. Yeah. Anyways. Donut empty circle. That's funny. Says Toto misses the rain down in Africa. Yes. Soon we'll all feel the rain down in Africa. Oh, realize, yeah, Hateful Eight. That is a brutal movie, but really, but very good. In the Quentin Tarantino way. I watched that actually a couple times, but yeah, harsh. Good movie though. Good movie. Yeah, Hateful Eight is like if Alfred Hitchcock actually brought the graphic violence, right? And I love movies like that, very Hitchcockian, and I mean that in a way that it's kind of like a play that all takes place in a very small space, and lots of good dialogue and all that. Um, anyways, so there's that. Let's move on to this from Christopher Cartwright has been keeping people abreast of the serious melt anomaly happening in the Arctic. This is from 2 days ago. Say what? That is a if that isn't a reverse hockey stick, I don't know what is. That's just a shoo. That's just a straight down. Wild. This is from the day before. He says to have a laugh on this lovely Saturday. NSIDC seems unable to come up with an Arctic map. I guess that's today. He couldn't do it. Coherent with a 20 or 25 C over average over the ice sheet. Can ice refreeze when it's so warm to be or not to be? And he shows some of the temperature anomalies. Well, this is from 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Is this from today? No, this is from yesterday. So yesterday, he's showing this yesterday. Anomalies. Very warm over the Arctic. 25, 30 C over average over the North Pole. That's yesterday. That's insane. Pretty wild amount of warming. That is very alarming. Next on the the ringing of the alarm bells, yet another chunk out of Antarctica, a large iceberg 20 times the size of Manhattan, broke off the Brunt ice shelf in Weddell Sea of Antarctica today. The iceberg is about 490 square miles and about 492 feet thick. 490 square mile iceberg, according to the British Antarctic Survey. Well, you won't see that on your evening news. If anybody saw this on the evening news, please let me know so I can cover them covering that bit of scary news. Somebody replies to this, I'm so scared for the future. I'm trying my best to be positive and hope that humanity will listen to science and reason, but damn, there are a lot of unreasonable people in the world. Monica says. Yeah. Yeah. Andy the gardener says, rubbish, they're just hiding the incline. Of course they are. Obsolete Optics says, what's funny is all the California people who left because of the fires and too many people all went to Texas, like Joe Rogan. What an idiot. Okay. I mean, the I guess the point is that, is any place safe? I don't know. I reside in California, and a lot of people are leaving California. All kinds of people are leaving California for various reasons. Maybe they're just seeing it as a good time to go, right? Things are in turmoil, things are in flux. It's a good time to move on and try something else out. I have another friend who also went to Austin. A few people I know are in Austin from California. Had some friends move back east. Friends planning on moving out of the country. It's a thing. It's a thing that's happening. So, yeah. Yeah, and if you're moving to escape climate change, I don't know I really don't know what place is safe. I really couldn't tell you. Sorry for the choppiness of the Rockfin, but Rockfin is generally choppy, not because of Rockfin, but because of my, I'm running 2 streaming apps, and Rockfin gets the worst bit of the stream, unfortunately. Okay, so lastly, I want to show you this. Greta Thunberg retweeting this from Neil K. Anyways, she says, if you are only 15 years old, then 30% of all global fossil fuel CO2 emissions since 1751 have occurred in your lifetime. Think about that. In the last 15 years. 30% of all global fossil fuel CO2 emissions since 1751 have occurred in your lifetime. This really shows the historic responsibility of our current leaders. So, in the last 15 years, a time period, well, when you think that people would be becoming, leaders, politicians, countries, organizations, what have you, people in general, would be becoming more aware of the climate situation and taking steps in the right direction. We have been going quickly in the wrong direction, and so that makes it even harder to turn that ship around now that everybody is totally on board with cutting emissions by 1%, according to the New York Times. Everyone's totally on board for cutting emissions by 1%. And who knows how long that's going to take to actually get done. But let's look at this. What percentage of all global fossil fuel CO2 emissions since 1751 have occurred in my lifetime? If you are 15, it's about 30%. If you are 30, it is more than 50%. Holy shnikes. If you are 50, it is about 75%. So that's about, in my lifetime, 75% of all emissions. Yeah. It's a lot. If you are 85, it is more than 90%. Anyways. Meanwhile, NASA solar probe captures beautiful view of Venus during a flyby. Awesome. It'd be super awesome if there was a planet to send those pictures back to in the near future. Like, that's super cool. How about let's make sure we have a planet to send pictures back to in the near future? What say y'all? as they say in Texas. You know, they be saying y'all. What are some colloquialisms from Mars? What do you think some of the Mars colloquialisms are? I got one. Did you like that? I don't know. Here's another colloquialism from Mars. Anyways, whatever. Meep mop mort. Something. I don't know. All right, guys. I think that about sums it up. I think that about sums it up for me today. Or for this video, actually. Not for today. Irk One says, better red than dead. Is that a colloquialism from Mars? Okay. I'm gonna do a neo-realism show at noon. Basil Peterson, I've been splitting wood by hand for the last month so I can fight like a black knight against the Visigoths. Ye be chopping wood. Good on you, Basil. Okay, guys. Thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I will see you all in a couple minutes, about half an hour. Peace be.